네, 안녕하세요. 오뽀입니다. 네, 오늘은요, 지난 6월 22일 한국에서 오브스 코인에 대한 미더업이 있었습니다. 이 미더업에 관련된 영상이 공식 홈페이지에 올라와 있었고요. 그리고 이 부분에 있어서 제 방송을 통해서 틀어도 된다는 재단의 허락을 받고 좀 실시간으로 관련된 영상을 올려드리려고 합니다. 많은 분들이 보시고요. 오브스가 현재 어떤 코인인지, 어떤 프로젝트를 진행하고 있는지 에 대해서 한번 알아볼 수 있는 좋은 기회가 될 것 같아요. 그러면 지금부터 영상을 틀어드리도록 하겠습니다.
So again, thank you everyone for coming, and today I want to talk about ORBS in 2022, mainly to discuss what are we focusing on, what are we doing this year, what are our plans to make the project successful, and I really want to focus on this year because our space is changing all the time, so making plans for 5 years is not possible. So we try to do achievable plans for the near future of exactly what we're doing. And a lot of the stuff that you see here, I think you may have seen before. It's not the first time we talk about them. But I do try to put everything in context and in continuity, and maybe to provide, in such a personal venue, some more flavor about specific plans. So I will maybe just provide with a short overview about the team. We're currently 30 people. Research development, marketing, business development, finance management. And I think what's interesting now as compared to where we have been a few years ago is that now the entire team is very, very well established within the crypto ecosystem. Looking back 2017, a lot of people didn't have a lot of experience. So what we were doing, we were taking people who are better in a lot of other spaces like edtech or fintech or cyber and teach them blockchain. Now, there is enough talent in Israel and globally to have people who have real blockchain experience. And today I think our entire team has very good understanding and very good experience within the blockchain ecosystem and are all holding and trading crypto. Now, in terms of location, we obviously have our HQ in Tel Aviv. We have two of our co-founders, Daniel and Tal, living now in London, UK. We have an office in Singapore, in Tokyo, and obviously here we have Eddie and Edward in Seoul, Korea. Actually, now we're also hiring additional global positions. So, ORBS 3.0, that's the big theme of ORBS this year, and this is comprised of 3 elements. So these comprise of layer 3 blockchain, proof of stake V3, and Web 3.0. Let's talk about Web 3. This is personally something that I am very interested in. It's kind of my personal passion about Web 3.0, and I think this is a term that maybe is not very understandable. And I talk about this quite a lot, and I would like to give you a short definition of what Web 3.0 is. So in order to understand Web 3, maybe it's good to understand what is Web 1 and Web 2. So when talking about Web 1, we are talking about the inception of the internet, 1992, 3, 4, depends, until maybe 2004. We're talking about a very static experience, fixed web pages with information that you can read, but not interact with too much. We're talking about desktop computers sitting in your home. You go once a day, once every few days, you see what's on the internet from your home. But the internet is decentralized. It's TCP/IP, HTML, open protocols. Everything is open. Anyone can upload pages to the internet. It's a very early system, but very open and permissionless system. Web 2.0 really brought the internet to our fingertips, literally. So maybe the one big thing that, among the big things that are really representing Web 2.0 is mobile experience. We take the internet with us wherever we go. It's in our pocket, it's in our hands, and we live with it constantly. But we are still talking about a 2D experience. Basically, we're still talking about an internet that sits in our hand. It's like a window. We go around with it. It's not a part of the physical world. Right now, nobody sees the internet. We need to take our phone out of our pockets or maybe our smartwatch and look at it. So it is still a 2D separate experience from real life. And another big thing that really represents Web 2.0 is user-generated content. The internet is not static web pages that somebody uploads, but it's us. We upload content all the time. All the content that's on Facebook and Twitter is us. We are the content, so it's very ruled by user-generated content. Now, the internet is unlike Web 1. Web 2 is very, very centralized. We generate all the content, but we don't own the content. The content is owned by big internet companies that are monetizing our information via advertising, targeted advertising. Now, another important thing to note about Web 2.0 is that money is not a part of the system. Money is a separate system. It goes through bank wires, IBAN, SWIFT. It's not a part of the internet. We maybe pay on the internet, but the settlement is done offline. So internet is only about information, but not about money. Now, when we're talking about Web 3.0, we're talking about a family of ideas. It's still undefined. It hasn't happened yet. But a lot of people are talking about it, and a lot of people are thinking about how it will look. One aspect of Web 3.0 is a more immersive experience. Use of AR and VR as a part of the interaction. So you're not on your phone or looking outside. You're basically interacting with a world that's built of layers. Internet layer and physical layer. And now to the part that's relevant to us. In Web 3.0, internet is going to be money is going to be a part of the internet layer. We first saw it with Bitcoin. Bitcoin allowing for self-sovereign monetary system that's working on top of the internet layer without control of any government. That was the first inception of blockchain technology as part of the internet. And then we saw this continue with Ethereum, which is basically allowing for programmable money, for a script that smart money, smart contracts living on top of the internet level took this whole thing a very big step forward. And then another big step forward came in the last couple of years. First with DeFi, decentralized finance, and then with NFTs, which are scarce assets on top of the blockchain. So we see this was another big step towards programmable money and programmable assets being a part of the internet layer. And here we're talking about something that we hope will be decentralized, not centralized. Facebook, now branded Meta, is trying to build a centralized metaverse that they control, that you need to pay royalties to. What we are trying to build, and everybody who's in the Web3 industry is trying to build a decentralized future, where we are giving back the power of information and the control over information to the users. And this is important, because when you connect to the internet via MetaMask and you interact with websites via MetaMask, Web3 websites, you control your information. They don't know who you are. You own your information, you own your assets, you hold them. When you're interacting with Facebook, Twitter, and Google, they own your account and they can take it away. So the big thing of Web 3.0 is you being able to own your own information and your own assets on the internet level. Now, we believe this is the future. I believe this is the future. And what we're trying to do with ORBS is not planning for now. We are planning also for now, which is good. But we're trying to position ourselves to be an important building block for the future of the internet, which we believe is Web3. Okay, so I hope I was able to make clear why Web3 is important and how Web3 is connected to ORBS. And now we can go back to talking about ORBS. Okay. Proof of stake, that's important. Proof of stake is the engine for our decentralized system. Without our proof of stake system, ORBS is not interesting. What makes ORBS interesting is relevant. It's the power and the robustness of its proof of stake system. So proof of stake is now a very big thing. There are multiple proof of stake blockchains. Ethereum now is finally moving to proof of stake. We have been a proof of stake for 3.5 years now. So this is the third iteration of our proof of stake. This is proof of stake V3, which was launched March of this year. And here we owe a big thank you to our Korean community and Korean guardians, because a lot of the ideas for this and for this architecture actually came as a request from ORBS guardians. So what we did here is basically launch the world's first multi-chain staking, which basically means we are bootstrapping the security of Polygon and Ethereum for our blockchain. So let's talk about numbers a little bit. As I mentioned, this was launched March of 2019, and we've seen very, very good response from community and from holders and from new buyers actually. We got over 170 million orbs staked on Polygon. That's actually over 20% of the total stake. And not only did we get nice stake on Polygon, but the total stake also increased. So we have also almost 80 million more stake. So almost 10% up from what we had before. It means new people joined the proof of stake. And we have 3 new guardians who joined. We have a lot of new small wallets who joined. And we got very good community feedback for the transition, which is easy when you do what the community asks. But this is maybe boring because you already know all of this. Okay, so now the question is, okay, so we know our go-to-market. We know what we think is interesting, and we know, and we have the engine for it. We have the basis for it. Now the question, what is the go-to-market? How we make this a reality? So one thing we could have done is take our system and compete with layer 1s and alt L1s. You can compete with Ethereum and Avalanche and Phantom, or you can compete as a layer 2, scalability, and compete with Polygon and Starkware and other L2 scaling solutions. But this is a race to the bottom, because most L1s and alt L2s, L2s and alt L1s are actually quite similar because they are all EVM. They all host the same type of applications, and the main competition is driven by emissions. They allocate a lot of tokens from foundations in order to subsidize the operation and compete over emissions and APY. But this does not create loyalty and is not sustainable in the long term, because you have to make high emissions, but the moment you stop, you lose all of the usage that's on your network because it's all comparable. So we thought about layer 3. Why layer 3? So ORBS is unique in the sense that it is not limited to smart contracts. We can run full scripts of code written in any language, either as a short JavaScript function or as a full Docker container that runs in a very similar way to the way it would run on a centralized cloud such as AWS. And we see that DeFi actually works quite well on layer 1s and layer 2s. Layer 1 is very robust and very secure, and layer 2 solves scalability issues and high gas prices. And this is all fine and implemented with smart contracts. But it is still limited by design, because there are some things that smart contracts cannot do. What ORBS can do is enhance the capabilities of smart contracts, because there are some things that ORBS can do and smart contracts cannot do. With DeFi, NFT, and Web3 applications becoming more and more complex, we see that teams cannot implement their full logic on smart contracts alone, and are actually forced to run some of their projects on centralized servers. So we are not competing with the layer 3s. We're not competing with the layer 1 and layer 2s, I'm sorry. As layer 3, we're actually competing with centralized servers, with AWS. And because we are a decentralized product, then basically we're different than anything else that's currently offered in the market. I'm not going to dive deep into this, but just to explain, we have basically 2 types of products. One is ORBS Lambda and the other is ORBS VM. Basically, one could run as a simple JavaScript functions for simple integrations. such as, I'll get to that, such as DeFi notification protocol. While the other can run a full Docker container, basically including any desired code. And this is actually run on top of the ORBS Guardians in a fully decentralized manner, powered by proof of stake. So maybe just to look at this graph for serverless cloud options, you can see that ORBS Lambda is very similar to Amazon Lambda, basically the same function, only decentralized, while ORBS VM is very similar to Amazon EC2, providing for a full Docker image that can run on top of, in this case, Amazon Cloud, in our case, on the ORBS Guardians. And this is just to show, in terms of execution capabilities, smart contracts are limited. ORBS Lambda is simple, can do more, still simple. ORBS VM more complex and can do even more. And this is not interchangeable. I mean, it's not replaceable. I'm not saying that ORBS VM is better than smart contracts. It's different use for different functions, and a lot of developers will need all three. So this really provides for a full spectrum of possibilities for Web3, DeFi, NFTs, and GameFi. And this is something I haven't spoken about in any videos, it's not on our website, but I want to explain to you why we think this is good and how we want to approach the market with this. Now, us being an L3 and being quite unique within the space basically means we have no competitors. This means we can work with everyone. We can partner with L1s, we can partner with L2s, we can work with exchanges who happen to have a blockchain, we can work with DeFi protocols who are primarily another blockchain. We can work with everyone. So when I'm talking to Polygon, for example, which we are now partnering with, as many of you know, they're not worried about me taking away their TVL, because I'm actually adding more TVL to their system when I bring in new capabilities and not taking anything away. So it's a very important key strategic decision for where we position ORBS today. So this means we can work with DeFi protocols of any chain. We can collaborate with existing L1s and L2s like we are doing with many big chains today. We can collaborate with ecosystem funds and VCs. We can utilize grants and basically work with everyone. To give a few examples, for DeFi protocols, for those of you who know DeFi notification app, we're basically integrated with most big DeFi projects out there on, we'll get to it, but on multiple different chains. We work with all of the major L1s and L2s. We have personal relationship with all of them. We're working with a lot of ecosystem funds, VCs. We have our own grant program. We have our collaboration with Polygon. We have our collaboration with Binance. We have our collaboration with Ton Ecosystem Fund and others. Another thing that we're working on, and we haven't talked about a lot, is revised tokenomics. L3 brings in new possibilities. Our existing tokenomics, all of you know, we have the proof of stake and we have the subscription for virtual chains. But now, utilizing L3 models, we may introduce additional tokenomics and additional use for the tokens in that respect. For example, we're currently looking at staking as a way to pay for L3 activities. It is still early, but we plan to introduce this year a proposal to the community with respect to revised tokenomics and open it for feedback, and based on feedback, perhaps implement. Last thing that we're doing is we're also building in-house apps. We're building our own apps in-house, either under ORBS brand or under DeFi.org brand, which utilize our own infrastructure as a proof of concept. So this is the first example of a successful in-house application that we have built under DeFi.org brand. So Open DeFi Notification Protocol has been accepted widely by the DeFi ecosystem, and it's actually being used by a lot of the leading projects. So PancakeSwap, biggest DEX on BSC, Uniswap, QuickSwap, Alpaca Finance, SpiritSwap, Harvest, very known, important different protocols are all using and integrated with DeFi notification. Yeah, and actually this is not updated, we have a few more
여기
chains and apps. Revolt is a good example for a third-party app that uses ORBS nodes for auto-compound, APR calculation, and other functions to make themselves fully decentralized. And this is our ecosystem map. I'm not going to go through all of it, but as you can see, we have been working hard establishing connections with different types of players within the crypto ecosystem. We are working hard on this. We increase this all the time, and we plan to increase this even further with a lot of L3 usage. Now, I think the last 5 minutes that I have, I want to talk like maybe off the presentation a little bit about some questions from community and some things that we have been asked a lot during our trip here. So I know it's going to come up in the Q&A, so I'm going to answer before. So let's start with solvency. ORBS, like any other big player in our market, is highly exposed in terms of our treasury management to crypto. We are invested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, many DeFi positions, hold an NFT portfolio, and are very active. We have managed to successfully manage our treasury for the past few years, and even now during this recent downturn. And we're in good shape. We are very solvent in fiat terms. Now that prices are lower, we're not forced to sell any crypto and are hedged quite good. So we hope the market will turn up very soon. But even if it doesn't, we have sufficient resources to work for several years to come. Another thing I want to talk about, different, is PoS emissions. So ORBS proof of stake emits 10% annual for staking. It used to be variable, now it's fixed, but the rate is quite similar to what it was before. Now we have been getting a lot of requests from community to increase the emissions over DeFi summer in the last couple of years, where we saw a lot of protocols doing very high emissions. I think that now in the downturn, we are seeing the dangers of high emission. So we are happy about our emissions. I think that we have proven to community that being careful and responsible about emissions actually plays out. And so I think that we actually see that emissions play out well. And I don't want to talk about price here. Obviously, nobody's happy about current prices in the market. We all want to see all of them high, including ORBS. But just open CoinMarketCap, and you see how even when the market goes down, ORBS goes up as compared to the general market. So we are beating the market currently. And I think this shows that we have been correct with our emissions and our tokenomics. And emissions also apply to TEAM. You can see our TEAM wallet. Not a lot of the tokens have been emitted to the market. And it should be noted that we are locked the same way that everybody in the proof of stake is locked, actually the same exact contract. And we also promise to the community that if we ever unlock, we give notice. Last thing. We have, where is our... Okay, we have a few friends here. This one, that one up there. So, as you know, we are listed with major Korean exchanges, and major Korean exchanges are subject to a lot of regulation, and it's increasing all the time, especially now after Terra. We have very, very close relationship with all the exchanges. We're working with them to help them meet their regulatory requirements with respect to our listing. And we also have Korean lawyers we work with and update us all the time about the regulation, so we know what's going on and we prepare accordingly. And you will see in the future some testaments of our good relationships with the exchanges. Thank you.
네, 이렇게 해서 22일 날 있었던 한국에서 있었던 오브스 관련 미덥 내용 참석하지 못하신 분들 어떤 내용이 나왔는지 참고해 보셨길 바라고요. 그 밖에 뭐 관련된 내용들은 제가 지금 오브스 코리아 유튜버 채널 제 채팅창에 올려드리고 있으니까요. 여기 들어가시면 그 밖에 오브스에 관련된 여러 가지 자료들이라든지 영상들을 보실 수 있으십니다. 많이 확인해 보시면 좋을 것 같아요. 오늘 방송은 여기서 끝입니다.